Thank you. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge Coast Salish traditional territory that we're on here today. Thanks for allowing us here today. You know, I think a lot of people have to hear our story on what my community had to go through. First, I'd like to thank the Aboriginal Achievement Award Group and all of you in attendance tonight. Thank you for this honor and recognition. Being recognized as the Aboriginal Leader of the Year is not something that one achieves alone. There is a community and the membership and council that is behind all of this. And we all have representation from our community that I would ask to come up here with me and join me on the stage here today. As this award is as much about them as the leadership. I have elders, I have council members, and I also have my youth here. And I'd like for them to come up and join me on the stage. As they're coming up, I just wanted to mention, I invited my wife here tonight, and at the last minute she had to cancel. My youngest daughter is ready to have her second born child, and she wanted to stay and be with her, and I really wanted her here tonight because I've been involved with politics for 25 years now, and 13 years as the chief counselor. I always say chief counselor because this election I just went through, it changed because we have our own custom code, and our hereditary people wanted it changed to a mayor because of our hereditary system. So it's mayor now, but I'm so used to being called a chief counselor. And all these years I've been the chief counselor, it took me away from home and away from my family that, when they needed me. And I spent so much time away from home, and I really wanted my wife here because she was a big supporter of me being involved with politics for 25 years now. And, I really wanted her here tonight, but she just couldn't make it, and I'm really sorry that she couldn't. Today, I invited elders that I mentioned, and I've taken some down that live in Prince Rupert, and Murray Smith is one of them. Murray, stand. Leonard Elksey and his wife Mona. Leonard is special to me because I'm also a hereditary chief of my tribe. We got 9 tribes in my community, and Leonard's my Galamaidak. He's my speaker for my tribe. So I'm really happy that he's here tonight. And I also have Howard Green, an elder, and Gloria Russell, an elder. But I have to mention because these 2 people were also on council with me when I first became chief counselor. Howard was, and Gloria a little years later, and they've been a big part of what we've been doing here today. My counselors of today, my Deputy Mayor Helen Johnson, Councillor Andy Tate's been in council for a number of years now. Robert Hughes, been on for a number of years. Victor Kelly, been on for a number of years. And Barb Henry. And one of my rookie councillors that just got in this term, Lawrence Sankey. And I mentioned my youth. Jonah Wesley. Joan Tate. or John Tate. That's what's written on here. I don't know who wrote this.
I did.
You did. Okay, Preston Wells. Dylan Henry. Rebecca Knott. Those two students, last ones I just mentioned, they're going in a boarding home school down here in Vancouver for grade 11, and they're down here going to school. And I have to say I'm proud because we got one of our students here that are going to university, and that's Ronaldo Sankey. And also one of our community members that are here that live in Vancouver is Christine Smith. And another member that lives in Vancouver, I'm no good with names, I keep forgetting. Peter is Len and Mona's son. And I'm really proud to have them here tonight because this award is all because of them also. You know, I mentioned I think everybody needs to hear the story because 15 years ago, when I first got for chief counselor, our band was bankrupt. We were over $6 million in debt. We had to sign a remedial action plan with INAC, that's Indian Affairs. We called all our department heads together at that time and asked them to make recommendations to chief and council or in where we had to make cuts. All our department heads came together and made recommendations. And we had to follow those recommendations. But we also had to go out and get help. We hired an administrator. And he's been a big part of us moving forward, where we're at today. And he's also in here, and I asked Wayne Jury to please come up here and join us, because he has been a big part of us. Wayne's been with us for almost 14 years now. My community was out of cast. Our community members were out of work. Our education system was failing. It was broken. We had the school district of Prince Rupert running my community education system for over 30 years. And it was not working for my community. Council made a decision to get rid of the school district. We deal with a law firm down here in Vancouver, Ratcliffe and Company, and one of the lawyers that were working there at that time asked us, why don't you guys consider going private? So we got more information on that, and that's what we did. We made a decision to go private. There was a company down here that set up private schools. It didn't quite work out for us. It took a fellow from Arkansas in the States that was involved with education for over 30 years to come in to our community and set up programs for our children. When he first came in, he tested our kids. We go up to grade 10, 1 to grade 10, kindergarten to grade 10. When they tested our kids, for every year they were in school, they lost a half a year. So by the time they were in grade 10, they were only grade 5 level. That's how bad our education system was. We had results from our kids going to school in Prince Rupert. They were getting pushed through the system. And that's, it was really hurt us as people, because our kids were getting pushed through that system. It cost us a lot of money that we had to pump into our education system to try to bring our kids back up to where they were. And this fellow that came from Arkansas set a program in. My daughter, youngest daughter, was only in grade 6. And when she was tested, she was at a grade 3 level. The program that this fellow came in and said did an excellent job, because by the year my daughter finished at grade 6, she was up back to the level that she should have been on. She graduated. And I know it made a difference when he did that. When I talk about our community being out of caste, when I got in for chief counsel in 1997, my community was at rock bottom. We had a lot of suicides, a lot of attempted suicides in my community. I even lost my youngest son. I had 6 children. I lost my son when he was 17 years old. I almost quit politics when that happened. I came that close by quitting. But my wife talked to me and asked me to stay and keep pushing. And that's what I did. If she didn't ask me to do that, I would have quit. You know, we knew we had to get our finances in order. And we began to do that. No one can do anything for you. We're out of money. But we set up a strategic plan that cost us but probably $50. We all knew what we wanted to do and needed to do. We knew we needed help. Discipline is what our roles and responsibilities were and still are. And fiscal discipline. We needed to get our fiscal house in order. Money does not really grow on trees, but we figured out how to make some money on our trees. Over the years, we did a lot of logging in our community, unreserved logging. And I always ask the question, where did all our money go from that logging that took place on our reserve? Because we had logging companies come in and log. This fellow I mentioned that we hired, Wayne Jury, his background is in forestry. He has an RPF in forestry. Negotiated some contracts with logging companies, a logging company to do some logging, small logging. And the money we made on that, I just couldn't believe what we made, because to me, over the years that the loggings were taken off our reserve, I always asked the question, where did it all go? Didn't go to my people. As I mentioned, we made money off of trees. Well, we're the largest First Nation forest company in British Columbia right now. We went after a TFL1 license, terrace forest license. We borrowed over $9 million to purchase both those licenses. A little over 2 years ago, we paid that off. As you heard the video, we paid dividends out the first year that was paid off. $100 per member. Wasn't much, but that was a start for us. We have over 3,500 members on our band, not all in the community. The second year, we paid our elders 60 and over $1,200. And everyone under that, $350. And the reason we did that is we lose elders every year. And everything that's happening in our territory, our elders need to see benefits up front. That's how we looked at it. And that's the reason we did that. You know, in my community, when we were going through the suicides and attempted suicides, we did a survey in our school. We asked our children, what do you want in this community? 95% of those kids came back and told us they wanted a swimming pool in our community. So we sat down as a council and asked the question, can we do this if this is what our children want? We looked at where we're at with our finances. We came a long ways from being in a deficit. Yeah, we can do this. We built a $10.5 million leisure center in my community with a swimming pool and a 150-foot water slide in that community, plus an elders building, and upgrading our gymnasiums that we had there that was over $1 million renovations. And I say knock on wood today, because we haven't had one suicide ever since we've done that. Some of my members complained about what we put into that there, but I tell you right now, it was worth every cent that we put in there to build that for my community. It was well worth it to me and my council. I am so proud of that facility today because, as I mentioned, we never lost one teenager to suicide ever since that was built. You know, in everything we do, we're not experts in the forestry, myself or council. We went out and hired the people that have the expertise. We have a company that manages our forestry operation, and that's Brinkman Forest. We have a CEO that knows the background in forestry, and they've done an excellent job for my people. We are now building new businesses. We have 9 now, with a couple of the more recognizable in our forest company, Co-Simpson Resources, and our engineering company. We have our own community-owned fish processing plant that was built in 1974 in my community. That was my first job when I got out of high school, working in that fish plant. It wasn't owned by us when it was built there. It was supposed to be owned by 9 different communities, and the provincial government had put that in there. It never did really work for our community. We purchased that community, we bought it off the provincial government for $250,000 in, I believe it was 1991, when we purchased it off the provincial government. Every time we got involved with it, it never worked for us. We pumped millions of dollars into it, and we never got nothing back. We leased it out, and other companies come in over that time, but every time the band got involved, we lost money. This past year, we made a commitment to that fish plant. We knew what had to happen. We did an upgrade of our freezing system in there. We spent over $11 million in that fish plant to upgrade it. Now we can freeze over 600,000 pounds a day. It used to be a salmon fish plant. It's not a salmon fish plant anymore, it's a ground fish plant. the amount of ground fish we're going to get in there to keep that plant open 10 months out of the year, still doing salmon in the summer, is going to employ my people for 10 months, year-round jobs. We just completed that. We've been in operation probably a little over a month now. It's created 88 jobs for my people. And we took over 40 of those off for social assistance for my community. And this coming new year, that's going to go full bore again. It's going to create another 40 jobs. So we're going to have over 120, 130 people of my people working full-time in that fish plant. And when I see the smiling faces of my people when that fish plant started the ground fish, it just blows me away how happy I see them, because that's what we wanted to see and to keep employment for my community. And I'm so happy and proud today because we as council made a commitment to create employment in my community. We live in a remote community and we're a fishing community. Always been a fishing community. And now we have that there for employment for my people. And I'm so proud of that today. You know, we built relationships. And I always hear bad things about INAC. We built a good relationship with INAC over these last 13 years, 15 years, that I believe. And when you work with them and the information that they require, you get things done. And that's what we've been doing. We worked with INAC. We got paved roads and sidewalks in my community by working with INAC, Indian Affairs. We're getting a $20 million new school. And by working with them, we're going to be 2 years ahead of time by the time, all this funding goes through. But it takes making partnerships with them and working with them. And that's what we've done. We have companies that we have partnered with in our business. Some, we got agreements that we're doing with companies for our fishing industry in LA, in Boston, and in London, where that's going to make it work for my people in that fish plant. I couldn't believe the connections that we have by putting the right people in place in our fish plant that have the expertise in marketing, that ran fish plants in Prince Rupert, that are working for us today. We are continuing on the lookout for partners that share risk, provide working capital, and help us build capacity. Leadership facilitates. One does not act alone. We have been extremely fortunate to find excellent partners who come in on our terms, or they do not come in. That is something we put right up front with every company that we deal with. Now back to this award. Aboriginal Leader of the Year. I am extremely proud of the people we have around us. It is true. A leader is only as good as the people around him. I really believe that, or her. I am proud of my community, our members, who have been resilient and who are picking up the challenges and the opportunities. We have more young people than ever going to college and university today. And we are building a future in our community, in our region, that will help come back home. We want our people to come back home, just as we need our elders to help us guide. And that's the reason I have elders here today, because they need to guide us. And our youth here today. Our members, to keep us on track, we need our young people to continue to go out there to learn and to come back. With everything we have going, we will have the opportunities for them and more. We now have about 450 people working within our partnerships that includes many from other nations and many non-natives. We are and will continue to be a driver of the economy of the Northwest. Our ancestors were before, and we are developing that again for our members. That is what I think leadership is all about. Being able to look at what we can have and pulling all the parts together to help our community, our members, get there. It is about our digging ourselves out of a hole and building a prosperous future for all our members. Not only for us, things have changed throughout BC for First Nations people. And I think all First Nations can do what we're doing today and be prosperous on that. So thank you for this recognition, but this is more about my people, my community, all those who are helping us build a prosperous future. Thank you very much.